to Spiritual Vacancy. We are the podcast to help fill your spiritual void. My name is Brooke Ann. I'm a psychic medium and a Reiki practitioner, and I am with my lovely co-host.
Hi, I'm Kimberly, and I'm a psychic medium also, and a Reiki master practitioner.
And today, on today's episode, we're going to kind of talk about our experiences when we were younger, like with spirit or what we felt, or, like Kimberly, for you, how did that, well, I guess I should say, like, what did you see first? Or what was it that when you were remember, what's like your first memory of spirit?
Hmm. I can remember far back as 4 years old. I would see shadows. I called them the shadow people. I would see them a lot at night when it was time to go to bed. I would see them in the hallway. I would see them, different places in the house. And I really wasn't sure what they were, but I could remember seeing it and asking my mom the next day, well, what are they? Or and I'd explain them, and she really didn't know what to tell me, how they, what they were. Um, so it was hard when you're young because you're fearful then because no one can tell you what it is you're seeing. And then I think the most amazing experience I had was what I called her the Blue Angel. The Blue Angel came to me. I was little, probably 4 or 5, and she came and just she had this blue, I guess, aura. It was like she looked like she had blue on, and she was just beautiful. And she made me feel secure. I remember feeling like she was kind of my protector. And it was a nice feeling when she would come around, but she didn't come often. It was only a few times that I've seen her in my life, but I do remember her, and I was always calling her the Blue Angel. And when I saw Pinocchio,
Mhm.
the Blue Angel was in Pinocchio, and it reminded me of the Blue Angel I saw. Did you
Was
ever
there,
see?
oh my gosh, years ago. I don't remember the Blue Angel and Pinocchio. I'd have to rewatch it to know. But like, was there something going on in your life at that point where you feel like you needed the Blue Angel to show up, or do you feel like she was just, so there's a few questions there. Did she feel familiar to you? Do you feel like she just showed up to help you in that time?
I just felt she was my protector or someone there for me. Like I could feel, I never felt afraid of her. I felt love. But I did have, like, growing up, like, there was a lot of abuse with the parents. So, my mom, I felt, was abused. And I think that I always felt like I had to protect her, but then who was protecting me? So I
Um,
think Blue Angel was my protector.
yeah, that's awesome though that you
Hmm.
saw that. And then it progressed as you got older, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just through my whole life. I've just always seen ghosts or spirits, and I would play with them at my grandmother's house because the ones at my grandmother's house were always like I felt connected, and I found out later they were family. So there was like a great great grandmother, a great aunt, like there was people that were like part of family that I always felt there, and I would talk to them, and they would play cards. We would have tea. We would have, like, I would play tea, like, just we were having tea, and they were there, and I would serve them tea in a teapot, like, pretend,
Yeah.
um, but like I just always felt connected and that they were there.
Yeah. And I'm so different because I don't really remember like having those moments. Like I was scared of certain stuff, but I can't say it's like spirit because in my bedroom growing up, like I don't really remember before 5. Like I cannot go back like super far. It's like so spotty in my memory of like what's happening that before then. And then in my room, we had a huge like Raggedy Ann an Andy doll mural on my wall, and I thought that was the scariest shit. I would never sleep in there. I would always go sleep in my sister's room because for what I have no idea why, but there was always 2 beds in my sister's room and 1 bed in my room, and I hated that Raggedy Ann and Andy, and I still don't like those dolls at all. And I think back even past 5, and I don't really have like a whole lot of experiences that I remember with spirit or feeling or, anything like that. And I was home a lot by myself or just with my grandma because my parents would always be working. But I remember like one specific dream, but at that time I was probably around the age of like 10 or 11 when I had a really vivid dream that felt really real. And I've had it for 3 times since. And then there's like things that I knew too, where things would just come out of my mouth. And then people would be like, "How did you know that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." They're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know why I know that. I just do." And I didn't even have a reason for it. So I'm just like, "Well, that's fucking weird. Like, I don't know why I knew that." There was nothing like
Yeah, like you just always knew
definite.
you couldn't explain it, you know?
Right. Just have
Mhm.
no idea. And then I had all these porcelain dolls and I hated the dolls after a while because all 14 of them are staring at me. And I'm like, okay, I need to put these dolls in a box. I don't want to collect porcelain dolls anymore. And I was always obsessed with psychics. I went to my first psychic at the age of 15, and she was very accurate on the side of the road. And I always loved Montel, but I never in a million years, if anybody would have told me, oh, in your early 30s, you're going to start talking to people that have passed, I've been like, yeah, right. You're lying. Because there was nothing like, oh wow, I'm a medium, or oh, I'm a psychic, or oh, I could do this. I think I had like all those gut feelings or the intuition, or you just know certain things are off, but nothing definite. Like I never saw shadow people, or I never had any of those experiences.
That's interesting. Yeah, but I mean, you always knew there was something and you knew you were
Mhm.
feeling something, but you didn't know what, you know?
Right,
I think,
exactly.
but too, because even something like with this podcast, where there's people out there, maybe teenage, that don't understand it. And if they come across our podcast, they'll understand, wow, I did feel those things, but they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So have people in your life to help you find out what's going on and help you in your direction.
Yeah. And I think that's also because I'm very open about my past. So, like me starting drugs and alcohol at a very early age, it's almost like I could have been suppressing it that whole time because I didn't understand what was happening, and then everybody else, like, you're just an old soul. And it's like, well, I think we all might be old souls,
Mhm.
but wanting to smoke, wanting to drink, wanting to do drugs starting at the age of 12 is odd. Like, and that was my path, and it continued into my early 30s.
You wanted to numb it, you were
Yeah,
trying, because you weren't sure what was going on.
right. And I had no idea I was actually doing that until I quit smoking pot in my early 30s, and then everything started flooding in. And then it's like, what's going on? What is this? What's happening? I don't know if I like this or not. I don't know what this is. But yeah, I wish I had. I mean, I don't wish I had more experiences, or maybe I wish I had more experiences I could remember. But the dream that I had was super vivid, and I can still picture it to this day. It was in it was the second house I grew up in because we had moved when I was 8. It was like 8 or 9, I think, when we moved into this new house. And we had been there for a while. So we'd been there like a couple years. And because I had the dream when I was like 10 or 11. And it was where this car was like pacing our house, going really slow in front of it. And then my bedroom like window faces the street, so I could see them. So then I was like hiding in the bed, and then like three men get out of the car and they're trying to open my window, and I could see them like at the window, like in my dream, like everything felt so real. And they
Hmm.
end up breaking in, and I catch them killing my parents, and
Wow.
they're about to kill me. And that's when I wake up, and I was hysterically crying. I ran into my parents' room thinking that they were dead. They were alive. They actually sat me in the middle of the hall and was like, "Calm down. What is going on?" And it felt so real. Like it really happened. It was
Wow.
the craziest thing. And I can picture it right now. Like as I'm talking about it, I can re-see that scene. And then to have that exact same dream two more times is insane because it replays the exact same way. And I don't know if that's like a memory because I had the first dream, or if it's actually like a past life thing, but it felt so real. That's the only dream I have ever dreamt that has felt like it was real life, where I
Wow.
actually woke up crying, like screaming, crying.
and yeah, and it never happened. So
Hmm.
I'm going to say it probably wasn't premonition because it didn't happen, but maybe
No.
it was past life memory, because they say as children we bring those memories in, and that's why you're fearful of things. Like, you had that dream because it was reminding you of something that happened. That's
Mhm.
scary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it never happened. I've never, knock on wood, never been broke into, never, even had to worry about anybody trying to enter a
Okay.
home. But it was weird because it was the same house. It was the same
Oh,
house we were
all
in.
like all yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like the whole thing felt crazy. And for me to still remember it, all these years later, it's unreal.
Yeah, because it's so real. Like when you have the dream, you're like watching a movie, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, there's no pauses. It's literally like a movie playing, just no commercials, no breaks. You don't like kind of wake up and go back into it. I mean, it just continues out and it feels like it's forever, like in the dream, even though it's probably like a 10-minute dream, if that, as it's
wow.
replaying. What about you? Did you ever have vivid dreams when you were
Yeah,
little?
I had a lot of vivid dreams. Mine were premonition, because they would come true. So that was, like the one time I took a nap after school and I woke up hysterical, crying and screaming, and ran to my mom and I said to her, my bus driver died. He was killed. And she goes, what are you talking about? You just saw him. Like, because it was after school nap.
Yeah.
Um, but I had, in that nap time, I dreamt and I saw everything vividly. He was on the street. Someone stabbed him and he was bleeding. And I was just so upset because he was like the favorite bus driver. Everyone loved him. And she was like, he's fine. You just saw him. Well, then here it was on the news that night that he was stabbed, and it was in the paper like a couple days later or whatever, and he was killed.
Wow.
So that was scary, because
Yeah.
and then it came true. My mom told me, oh, just it's nothing. He's fine. And then to find out it really happened.
Yeah.
Scary. I remember I was really afraid because I knew what the person looked like and I didn't want him to come find me. Like I felt like he knew I knew, but I didn't, like
Right.
because in the dream it was like I was standing there watching. So I felt like maybe the guy saw me, but really it was a dream. So I don't think he did. But I remember being scared because, oh my gosh, what if he saw me? But
Yeah.
really it was a dream and I don't think he knew that I saw that.
No, and especially at a younger age,
Yeah.
how do you decipher that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From
Like in 11, maybe 11 or 12 at the time. So.
yeah. Do you still have those premonition dreams when you predict stuff?
But not as often. It's weird. As I got older, it changed, like it went from dreams to like other things. And now, I mean, I have vivid dreams, but so far none of them happened. I have one that I hope never happens. It was scary. I had a dream that we were taken over, with like there was military vehicles everywhere. And my husband and I were walking, and you're not supposed to be out after a certain time, and the military vehicles were coming on our street, and we ran into the woods to hide because you're not supposed to be seen after a certain time. And I remember these guys get out and they were military, and they were Asian looking. And I remember us trying to sneak back through the woods to the back door of our house to get in, and we would hide downstairs so they didn't know we got in our house, like that we were ever out, because we didn't want them to see movement. So that I'm hoping never comes true, because it was like I remember feeling like we didn't have any freedom. So that was,
Yeah.
but that one has not come true, thank God.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
yeah, but that one was a very, like, it felt so real, when I got
Yeah.
up. Gosh, I hope that never comes true, because a lot of mine did come true. So I don't want, but that's one that I'm had not long ago, a couple of years ago now, and I'm like, oh, please don't ever come true.
Yeah, hopefully that one won't and
Right.
will never.
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, now my dreams are more, I don't know, like I had a dream. This is a really weird one. I had a dream that Cher passed away. And then within a year, Stevie Nicks passed away. And I was devastated because I love Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a really weird one.
Yeah. Was that recent?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was really weird. And I
Mm.
remember waking up thinking, like, oh my gosh, it felt so real.
Uh-huh.
Please don't happen, because I love Stevie Nicks. I don't want
Yeah.
you know, and share. I like share. So yeah, it was really weird. So
Yeah, well, you never know.
I know they're still so they seem so real. Like when you wake up, you think that was real, you know?
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I've had little dreams that come true. I've had dreams where, like I would see, like my son's girlfriend, I saw her ahead of time before he met her. And then when he brought her home, I was like, whoa, because I already
Mhm.
saw her in a dream. So
Yeah.
stuff like that was kind of, ooh.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I don't dream as often. Like they don't, it's not the same as when I was younger. Like
Yeah.
they were always coming true all my dreams when I was young.
Yeah. No, I never had that. I
You
never
dream
had. Do I
like
dream now?
now like a lot? No.
No, I don't dream a lot at all. Like, I do not have, if I dream, it's like super rare.
Okay.
I just don't. I don't know if it's because I'm just so tired and I just want to like shut off because, like what we do for a living, it's like I don't want to talk to spirit anymore and I don't want to see anymore. Like, just leave me alone. Like, I'm so, you know what I mean? After doing sessions all day, it's like, I'm good. Like, you spirit, you can step to the side and I'm just gonna have no dreams and I'll be fine if I do sleep, if I can sleep, because I feel like sleep is scarce with going through like perimenopause and all that stuff. Like, I don't get a lot of sleep and I want to get sleep. And it's for whatever sleep is evading me. And but no, I don't. I don't really dream a lot. It's not something that I miss or think about until like somebody asks me, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really dream. I don't really think I just wake up, look forward to my coffee. Think about what do I have to do today?
You get the 3 a.m. wake up call, like
Oh
the all
yes,
because I do. I know my eyes just wake up and I'm like, why am I up? It's
3,
morning,
4,
you know?
5. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's awful. You just like wide awake and you're like, oh my God, go back to sleep. I'm not getting up this early. Stop it. Like if it's spirit or if it's menopause or whatever, like stop because it was not that long ago. I guess it was like a couple months ago. We have these touch lamps next to our bed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes doot, doot, doot. So it has like three levels of light, like dim to light. And it was, I don't even know what time, maybe 2, 3 morning, something like that. And my husband's side goes do do do. And I kind of poke him and I'm like, did you just freaking turn on your lamp? Like, oh my God, turn your lamp off. And he's like, that wasn't me. And I'm like, turn it off. So he turned it off because I'm like, I'm a heavy sleeper too. So for me to be like, I am a deep sleep, a train could hit my house and I would not know till the next day. And he's a light sleeper, but I woke up with that light turning on. And then not even 5 minutes later, I'm laying there and barely asleep at this point because I just got woken up. Do do do. The lamp turns on again. I unplugged it and cussed spirit out. I was like, leave me alone. I was like, I'm trying to sleep. I don't sleep now. Anyways, quit messing with the lamp. And I'm like, don't you even think about touching my lamp. And they
Uh,
did. And I was like, just stop, spirit. Because that was so my loved ones or spirit messing with me and it's like, oh my gosh, stop, I'm so tired. And if I'm sleeping, I'm like, I don't know how many hours I'm gonna get.
exactly. I know. I get that wake up call too, but sometimes spirit will come then. And
Yeah.
then I fall back to sleep and I'm like, please just talk to me when I'm awake, when it's a normal time of the day.
Yes.
'Cause I don't want to do that at 3:30 in the morning.
No, there's nothing that important that you need to tell me at 3:30 in
Right.
the morning when I could be
They
sleeping.
don't they don't have sense of time.
No, they just are like, oh, you're quiet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna poke you and wake you up, and then you'll
Yeah.
notice me even more. Like, I noticed you all day. You're good. Like, leave us alone. But yeah, so with your childhood, so you saw like the dark shadows, you had the blue angel, right?
Yeah.
Then how did it kind of progress from there?
Well, I remember just like people wanting to hurt me. I remember when I was like young, like I remember the one kid stealing my, do you remember those push pedal cars? I had a
Oh
metal one.
yes.
And we had like a neighborhood kid and he stole my car and I was so upset because and they were just really mean kids. And they would like push you'll be at the playground and they try to push you off the swing or we just were around mean kids. And every time that ever happened, the blue angel would always come and tell me, it's like she was a reminder, like God is with you, and you're always loved and protected. Like it was like things like that. Even she would come.
Yeah.
And then when I got older, I would watch. I don't know if you watch horror movies,
Yeah. I like
but I liked them when I was teenage. That was the thing to do. Oh, let's get scared.
uh-huh.
Um,
Bloody Mary
yeah,
in the bathroom.
yeah, it was the fun thing to do. So I liked horror movies. And the one night I was watching a horror movie at our house, and my dad had worked night shift. So I was downstairs. I guess everybody went to bed, and I stayed up to watch this movie, and then I fell asleep on the couch. Well, then I got up and I saw this shadow, this dark, scary shadow. And he went down our basement door. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not walking by there. I didn't want to pass it because I didn't want to pass this, whatever it was. I was afraid he'd come out of that door. So I slept on the couch. I would not move. And my dad came home. I don't remember what time. It was probably 2 in the morning or something. He woke me up and said, "What are you doing on the couch?" And I said, "Oh, I'm not walking past there. I'm not walking past that door." He's like, "Why?" I said, "There's a big black shadow." It was so scary. And he was like, he grabbed the baseball bat and he was going to go down the cellar, to see what this scary thing. And I said, "Oh, I don't think that's going to work." But I knew it was something really scary. And I would not, I don't know. And to this day, I don't really know what it was, but it was scary. And I remember being afraid of it. And I never saw it after that point, though. So isn't that interesting? Like, I don't know what
Yeah.
it was, but I knew it didn't belong, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like I would get feelings if I would see something like a blue angel or something like that, like happy energy or spirits that were loving, I would feel that. But when I would see like the dark shadows or that thing that was scary, I would feel that. I'd be afraid of it. So I knew it wasn't of the light.
Right.
So I felt like my feelings really helped me because I would know the difference by feel.
Now, are you scared of dark shadows now or no?
No, I tell
Yeah,
them the
either.
they belong. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, as you learn, I think it was because I didn't have knowledge. There was no
Right.
one to guide me or help me. And
Right.
I love to help others. If there's teenagers or people that are going through this, I like to help them and explain to them because I didn't have that. And I
Yeah.
know people that need that. They need to understand it so they aren't fearful. Like now I'm not afraid. I'd be like, get out of here. You don't belong.
Right.
You're not welcome in my space.
Yeah.
I command them to leave. Like you're not welcome. But I do protect my space too, so I don't allow
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Um, but it's different now. Like when you have the knowledge of it, you're not fearful.
No, and I think a lot of times the dark shadows can actually just be like our loved ones showing up at different points to get our attention. It
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean they're dark, or like when I've done paranormal investigations, normally they're just sad. It's a feeling of lost and sadness. Not saying they're stuck,
Right.
not definitely not stuck, but their spirits attached to properties as well. But it's like, it's not. I'm not scared of them. Like I want to hear their story. Like they want their story told. You know what I mean? And yeah, back then, oh my God, I'd be freaking out if I saw, a spirit or got one on camera or felt one. And now I'm like, what's your story? What you
Right.
mean? Who
Yeah.
are you? Like
Like, do you
I'm
need
not
help? You need us
yet.
to help. Or yeah.
Right. Like what's your deal, dude? Like let's talk.
Yeah, and sometimes they need help. They're lost. Like they just need help going to the light or understanding what happened to them.
Yeah, or
Sometimes
just
we're
yeah,
just,
being heard.
you know.
Yeah, I always say like,
Oh,
they're on the other side and think about nobody paying any attention to you for like X amount of years and then somebody can see you. They're like, I'm here. This
yeah,
happened. Like, pay attention to me, and they just want to tell their story, but they don't want to like, they're not going to harm us. They can't touch you and bother you unless you allow it. And I feel like that's like fear-based stuff. You know what I mean? I think fear brings that
right.
momentum on.
What do you think of like a ghost being able to touch you?
I think they can touch you, but they're not going to hurt you. Like when people get those scratches and like all
Mm,
that stuff, I feel like a lot of times that's their own energy. Like
okay.
that's their own stuff, almost like projecting it on them. Because that's kind of like what I feel with like exorcisms and things like that. I mean, it's all about your intention. So, someone can be possessed, but it just takes a priest to come in with some holy water and now they're saved. I don't get that. It's all like the priest is it's an intention that they've set an intention in the water. They're saying the prayer around them, right?
And yeah,
It's
they
the,
also say you can't be possessed unless you allow it. So the person possessed allows it.
but it's the fear. It's also
Right.
the fear of
Yeah.
it. It's
It's
also bringing it on.
like the negativity. Yeah.
Right. And it's almost like their
Mhm.
own self kind of projecting that out into the space
Mhm.
because it only happens to that one person. Why? Because of
Right.
how they feel on the inside. So it's like, it's all about, it kind of goes back to the placebo effect. If you believe something so much, it will actually manifest and happen. It will happen. And I'm
Mhm.
like, your intentions, your words are so powerful. So if you believe that there is a dark spirit around you. If you believe that spirit can hurt you, I promise it will because you're almost like manifesting it into existence. Because I'm the same way with when, make it make sense. Your person's possessed, a
Mhm.
priest comes in with holy water that's been talked into and set that intention. And now that they think that the priest came in to save them and remove the spirit, now they're free. They can
Right.
do that on their own.
Yeah. They just don't know how, I think, you know?
They can't change their mindset. They're fearful. And until that priest, the person of power, comes in to say, the spirit is now gone, they release it. Like, oh, okay, there's no more fear there because the priest has now saved them. But
Yeah.
if
So
you,
the fear.
right,
Hmm.
so if you just change your mindset into the spirit's gone, it will be gone. Do not give it power. Don't let your thoughts are giving the fear power.
Right.
You're literally manifesting something that is not there half the time,
That makes sense. Yes, for
you
sure.
know?
Mhm.
And that's why it's like, that's why it doesn't happen to the rest of the family. That's why other shit, like it's only that one person. That's why it follows you because you haven't changed the fear. You haven't changed your thought process. You haven't changed what you're doing,
Mhm.
right? So it is going to follow you to your new house because you're still you. Like until you fix your own thoughts and understand that spirit can't hurt you, it's not fearful, quit the negative thinking, go into positive thinking and already think that that spirit's detached, you'll watch your life change.
Well, what is the scariest thing you've ever kind of seen with spirit, would you say? Like when you were younger or even like
Probably
recent?
the Ouija board. Oh my God. We would play with the Ouija board, and that is not good.
Did it like
And what?
what did it do? Like did it scare how was it scary?
So there was two different times it was scary. So one time we were playing it in my friend's bedroom, and it like I didn't know if they were moving it because I was not moving it. But you're like, I don't know if it's spirit or what. Definitely not trained. Should not use the Ouija board. And then all of a sudden, her light started going like on and off. Talk about freaking me out, right? I'm like, what the fuck? Throw the damn board away. Never want to play again. And then there was another time where we were playing outside, and there was like five of us sitting in the back of the bed of a truck. I was like 17 years old, and we're all just kind of playing around. And at that point, there was boys and girls, there was guys and girls playing, and I thought everybody was like totally, messing with it. My friend Terry, she goes, we're like, well, ask it a question. She's like, well, I'll ask it a question nobody would know. And she goes, what's my mom's real name? And it spelled it out. And we all freaked out. And she's like, that's my mom's name. And we're like, what? Because she didn't go by it. She didn't, I don't even remember what it was now. But we all like threw that thing out of the back of the truck. It was like, I don't want to play this shit anymore. And I've only played with it twice, and I never want to do it again.
Yeah, I only did when I was young and no, I will never touch one again. But I mean it's a portal. It opens up a whole, it's
Uh-huh.
not, yeah, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
that
not
was
to mess with if you don't know what you're doing.
I don't even want to mess with it. And I do know what I'm doing.
My mom or the priest telling me, like, or a pastor, when I was a teenager, he said, if you have a Ouija board, you better go and burn it. And he was telling us we had to burn our Ouija boards, right? So I went home and told my mom, she goes, you're not burning my toy. Like she said, that was her game. When she was young, she bought it as a game. That's what it was, marketed as a
Right.
game. So she was like, you're not going to burn my game. Like she was upset and did not want me to burn it.
Oh, wow.
So I said to her, well, I had a psychic tell me to wrap it in silk. If you wrap it in silk, it protects and it keeps the energy, safe. So then that's what we did.
Okay. I didn't know that because I have never
Yeah.
had one. I've never owned
She
one.
wouldn't let us burn it. I think finally it did get burned, but she was very, that was her game. So
Wow,
yeah, yeah.
that's crazy.
But it's definitely a portal, and I think it does. I don't know if the spirits are kind of coming in because of the board, or if like you were playing with it and you could hear or feel the stuff because you're, mediumship. I
Mhm.
don't know, how that works, but it definitely does work, you know.
It does. Yeah, but I don't feel like it's a good tool. I think there's so many other good tools to use when you
That's
have more control and protection and
right. I
just
don't think I can't believe that it actually was a game. You know what I mean? For children, like 10 years old, I can't even believe it. But, I guess they didn't have a clue or they didn't think it was a big deal back then.
yeah. Yeah,
But
I can't either. I can't believe it. But that's probably like where I was actually like scared of spirit because all the other times where I've seen it, I wasn't super scared of it. It was more like fascinating to me where I'm like, ooh, what was
yeah,
that? What was there? Or what was this? And there was the time where we were renting. I had just started my mediumship circle, like my first circle, and I still have the picture on my phone. And I was taking a selfie with me and my dog, and we were renting this little tiny townhome. And the screen door, it's a glass screen door behind me, but the actual door is open. And I took a picture, and there's a man standing in the screen door. You can see his face smiling at me, but nobody was home but me and my dogs. And it's the craziest thing, but it didn't scare me. But I'm like, who is that? I'm like,
yeah, because they're in your picture.
they're in my picture, but I don't know who it is. I don't know who like the face is or anything about him. And it could just been like, no, I have no idea.
Do you
But
think?
I showed my husband and son, and I'm like, dude, that's crazy. That guy's face is in the door.
Do you think he was with the house?
I don't know. So like I don't know like my husband's relatives at all. So like
Uh,
anybody from his past, I have no idea. There's parts of my family I don't know.
uh,
And it could be part of the townhouse, but like I've never seen him and he's never showed up again. Like I don't know who he was. I
yeah,
just thought it was fascinating that and he's smiling like he's watching me take a selfie, but like nobody's physically there.
yeah, and he's smiling, so it's
Hmm. It's
like,
good.
yeah, looking like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then there's also one not with me, but my son, which I think we all possess this gift in some way or another. But like my son, when he was younger, he used to always talk about Clara being his favorite name. Like when he gets married, he's gonna have Clara, or if he has kids, it's
Yeah,
gonna be Clara. And I'm like, that's such a weird name. I'm like, you mean like Clara? Because my favorite name is Claire. And I was like, if he's a girl, it's Claire, boy, Camden. I have no idea why I like C names, but I do.
hmm,
And, he kept saying Clara, Clara. And I'm like, that's such a weird name. I don't know why you like that. And he was like obsessed with the name. And then come to find out, I just got some pictures mailed to me from my aunt on my dad's side. And my great grandmother, so his great great grandmother, her name's Clara.
oh wow.
Yeah. Yep. And I
Huh.
said, I bet you were communicating with your great great grandmother and didn't know it. And I didn't even know her name, Clara. I'm
That-
like, of all names.
I know that is different.
Yeah. I took a picture of it and called my son when I got him in the mail and I said, you remember your favorite name? And he's like, yeah, why? I'm like, because that is your freaking great great grandmother's name that we never met. And I'm assuming obviously she's passed now, but like in the photo, my great grandmother actually leaves the family and leaves my grandmother to be raised by her dad.
Oh wow.
That's odd.
Yeah, but I
Did
mean, it's
not happen back then.
wow.
Yeah, and it says it on the picture.
Does it?
Yeah, it's typed out. It has it like on the picture saying Clara Zimmerman, Elaine's mother, which Elaine is my grandma, my dad's mom, and left Elaine as a child to be raised with her father, left the family.
Oh, Carl was your great grandmother then.
Clara is my
Yeah.
great grandmother, yeah, on my
Wow.
side. And my son was loved that
So,
name.
do you think your son is very intuitive and
Oh,
psychic?
he is.
He has to be. I
They
mean,
mess with him all the time and he hates it. He doesn't
uh,
want anything to do with it.
he
Like,
does.
oh, no.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
I know it's like you can't help it when you're, the child of a psychic medium or psychic or any, you're bound to get something.
Yes, yes. And he has so much when he was younger, he'd be like, I think what your guides are messing with my stuff, Mom. Because they would move all of his stuff around his room and do stuff. And then if we leave, they mess with him at the house. Like there's always something going on. Like, but he's at the age, he's 22. He doesn't want any part of it. Because I've asked him, I'm like, do you want me to like help teach you, guide you? And
Right.
he's like, no. He's like, I don't want to do what you do. And I'm like, okay, that's
That's
fine.
what, yeah, my daughter, she always had very strong mediumship, but she blocks it and says, I don't want to do what you do. And I said, okay, and I honor that. But,
Right.
um, and my son, he's very intuitive. He has that, what is that memory, photographic memory.
Oh, wow.
And he has just sent like a sense or knowing. I don't know if he doesn't really talk about mediumship, but he was thrifting with his girlfriend and he held up a shirt that he was looking at and he all of a sudden got a picture of the man who wore it and that the guy died in that shirt and he
Oh,
knew he
wow.
died of a heart attack.
Oh,
And
wow.
I dropped that shirt so fast, Mom. I was not buying that shirt. He goes, because it was a really nice shirt and it had the tags on and everything. Like, he was like, oh, it was a nice shirt, but the guy, I guess he must have tried it on and died. He said he died in that shirt. I did not want it. So
Yeah.
yeah, he didn't.
Wow.
Yeah, he wouldn't buy it because
I
yeah,
would say he's in tune. Yeah.
yeah.
He's in
So
tune with spirit. Yeah.
he was freaked out because he didn't know why did I feel that, or
Yeah.
he wasn't too happy.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Like it's not funny because because their age and they
Right.
freak them out, but fast forward to 10 years from now, your daughter might be doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Or your son where they once they get through those ages of
Well, yeah, I mean, if you would have told probably you or I
yeah,
at 20 that we were going to do this, we would laugh and say no,
most definitely. I'd be like,
Yeah.
you're
I mean,
crazy.
I would not. I mean, I knew I had it then, but I had friends say, "Oh, you should do readings. You should do this." And I'm like, "No." And I would have never thought that I was going to do it either. So,
Right. Yeah. And that's
no.
what's so great about it is when you don't
Mm,
know it, it just happens.
right. Because and I do feel it's divine timing too.
Right.
When you're young, you're maybe not as responsible with, this doing this as a job, because I feel there's a lot of responsibility to it.
There is, and then life, kids,
Mm,
work,
yeah.
you got sports or this. It's like you don't really have the time to dedicate to yourself, let alone a spiritual side half the time,
Mhm.
you know? So, yes, this was great. So, thank you guys for listening in, and we will see you all next week with a new topic on next week's episode. So, we hope you can tune in, and we hope you all have a beautiful day, and namaste.
Have a great week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.